Slide the Corner, Chapter 13. Ted made up 5 seconds on us in Special 2. Went round the corner like a mad goat, grumbled Brad at the end. I knew the one he meant. The tail flicked out too far and then swung back in as he overreacted. Special 3 was tight and twisted the whole way. We were 8 kilometers into it when I called triangle. Brad slapped on the brakes. Ted's Nissan was parked rather solidly against a tree, the tail sticking out into the road. "That'll slow him down a bit," said Brad. "He'll probably get it going again, though." Brad worked hard. When I couldn't glanced at his feet. They sort of danced from pedal to pedal, and the engine never missed a beat. Not that I had much time to look. The forest roads were full of intersections. There were instructions every 500 meters. Another triangle. The car upside down, the crew standing outside, looking hacked off. "Who was it?" asked Brad. "Number 8, I said. Johnny Slattery." He was too busy to say more. It was flat out to the finish for a couple of kilometers. Brad wandered up. "Damn, there's a miss in there. When do we see Shane next?" "End of this stage. Got 5 minutes." "Thank heaven for that." 5 minutes didn't seem much to me. "Got a miss," Brad yelled as he braked to a stop. "Heard it," said Shane, lifting the bonnet. "Heard you coming. Hope it wasn't you." Lindy checked the lead that had been loose at the end of the first stage. "Not that one." "Right," said Shane. "We do the lot." He and Lindy started pulling leads off. Brad grabbed a roll of cable from the ute, threw me a pair of snips, and grabbed another pair for himself. He dumped the cable down on the bank, picked up a lead the others had removed, measured a new piece of cable against it, and snipped it right length. Then it was just a matter of pulling the connectors off one lead and pushing them onto the new one. As soon as I saw what to do, I got to work too. Nobody said much. We were too busy. I put the watch where I could see it. 2 minutes, I called. "Should do it," grunted Shane. We did too. No lateness so far. Special 4, we went off the road. It was a fast corner in the middle of the stage. It turned left and tightened sharply. We ended up with our right front wheel down a hole. We weren't the first to get caught by the look of the other marks around about. "Put the triangle out," yelled Brad. "This could take a minute or two." I grabbed it and ran back. Then I found an old fence post and shoved it under the wheel. Not enough. Found a log. 3 cars passed us. Ronnie tooted as they went past. "Our bloody triangle saved them enough," muttered Brad. It took 4 minutes to get us out. At last we were back on the road. I raced back for the triangle, then leaped into the car. Brad was away before I had the door shut. No more incidents. 1 minute of lateness added to our car. "Could have been worse," said Brad. Ted Allen was only 2 minutes behind us now. His car didn't look the best until the argument with the tree, but it still went. Ronnie Franks and Sam Bolton were in front of us by over 3 minutes. It was time for the lunch break. "Thought you'd never get here," said Shane. "Damn, near didn't," said Brad, and told him what had happened. Holly and Karen, Brad's sister, had lunch set out on the grass under the tree. We sat down and ate while Shane and Lindy went over the car. Well, asked Holly, smiling at me. It's neat, I said. Real cool. What a buzz. Karen laughed. You hooked. I was too. I didn't know what I would do when Holly was ready to co-drive again. I pushed the thought away. It wouldn't be for a year or two, she'd say. There were 3 stages after lunch. Stage 5 was a repeat of stage 2, but going the other way. No problems. Made 24 seconds on Ronnie. The gap was closing. Tad was still 2 minutes behind. Stage 6 was short but tricky. We passed 2 triangles. Brad didn't say anything. He was concentrating too hard. When we pulled up at the finish, Mr. Shepherd ran out of the caravan. He handed me the card with the big grin. Well, you've made it this far. Good luck with the last stage. Huh? Said Brad. Timing officials didn't usually say things like that. He's one of my teachers, I said, and told Brad how Mr. Shepherd had said he envied me. 1 more stage to go. We had to make it to the finish. We just had to. I wandered over to talk to Sam and Sandy. Sam seemed pretty pleased with their time until I told him ours. We were 11 seconds faster. Holy Moses, said Sam. But they were still over 2 minutes in front. Ted and Sandy had had a bad stage. We made up 1 minute and 3 seconds on them, which put us over 3 minutes ahead. I don't wish you any harm, said Sandy cheerfully, but I won't cry if you get a puncture. Brad heard him. We could stop and swap the gearbox and still be in front of you. It was time for the final stage. Let's try a bit on this one, said Brad. We flew in that stage. Everything came together smooth and controlled. The one bad corner had a triangle out and a crew was pushing their car back onto the road. Win some, lose some, muttered Brad. I called the 200-meter board. Then we were flashing over the finish line, right on Ronnie's tail. I stopped the watch, then threw up my hands. Yay, we did it, we're finished. Road book, pins, notes went everywhere. Hey, Brad, that was so excellent. It was, I couldn't put it into words. Brad laughed. Not too bad, I have to agree. And you did pretty well yourself, young Greg, but I knew you would. I even remembered to check the times on the blackboard. We'd made up 59 seconds on Ronnie and Sam. Brad drove the car to the Parc Fermé for a check-in by the officials. Shane and Lindy raced over. You've got the best time on the last stage, they yelled. What did you do? Put wings on it? People stood around swapping yarns about how they would nearly lost it, or how they had lost it, but had got going again. I tried to look cool and keep the fat grin off my face, but it kept coming back. Ted slapped me on the arm. Thought you'd slow him down a bit, not speed him up. He waited for the provisional results. Ronnie and Sam beat us by 1 minute and 3 seconds. Not too bad, said Brad. We were second in our class. Ted and Sandy were fourth. They'll be after us next time, grinned Brad, just like we'll be after Ronnie. Time for home. Want to drive? Brad asked. Annabelle yelled half the night. I'm fair naked. What a way to end the day. I started the car and moved off. The acceleration took a bit of getting used to. I concentrated, listening to the engine note, then changing gear. I didn't try any fancy stuff like changing without the clutch. Keep it smooth, I told myself. The car was noisy, even on an ordinary road, and the suspension felt stiff. Remember, the brakes linings are harder than normal, yawned Brad. Only work properly when they are hot. Shouldn't get hot on the way home, so be careful. Then he went to sleep. I settled into the car. Me, Greg Mannering, driving a rally car. I'd have loved to put my foot down and leave everything on the road for dust. But I didn't. I didn't fancy Brad being woken by a siren. A couple of cars overtook me, both driven by young guys. They gave me the fingers and rode past. I waved back like I was a queen. I had the last laugh though. They were both stopped by cops, one north of Hundley and the other in Topiri. I pulled up in front of our house and shook Brad awake. He stretched. Home already? God, I was naked. If you ever have a baby, have it in the off-season. I remembered that, I said. Mom and William were pleased to see me. Dad just said, I knew that guy was a moron, letting you drive that soaked up heap of junk, and we walked the whole neighborhood this morning. I'll say this for Dad, he was predictable. You drove the rally car, cried William. Wow! I told them all about the day over dinner. At least I told Mom and William. Dad took his plate and ate in front of the TV. I wished I had a mate. I wanted to ring somebody and talk about the day all over again. The phone rang. For you, said William. It's Mr. Shepherd. I hope you don't mind my ringing, he said, but I'm dying to hear how it all went. Do you mind? Mind had told him everything, and when it seemed as though I'd left a bit out, he asked me questions until he was satisfied he'd heard the lot. Thanks, Greg, he said. You're welcome. He was nice, Mr. Shepherd. Suddenly, the day caught up with me. I'm going to bed, I announced. It's only 7 o'clock, said William, but I didn't care. I'd go to bed and go over the whole day again before I went to sleep. I didn't even make it to documentation.